Testing. Cool. All right, class, welcome to Unit 7, or in this case, we're in week 8. So we're 3 weeks from finishing not only the quarter, but as well as code path. And it's going to be, these weeks are going to be pretty exciting because pretty much you're done with all the assignments. There's no more assignments that you have to do, no more follow-alongs. From now on, you're going to be working on your own projects. So in other words, you're going to be using all the knowledge that you've gained so far with parse, auto layout, and as well as APIs, and implement all of that knowledge that you've gained in Swift into your own projects. But before we get into what we're going to go over this week, I will show you around how the classes are going to go along. So there's still going to be tutorials. I'm still going to teach you guys more Swift. So for example, today we're going to learn MapKit, how to implement maps onto your iOS application. And next week we're going to be learning animations, how to do animations on your own application. So for example, doing a Mario Kart animation on with images, how to rotate images and everything. Pretty cool stuff. And then last week we're going to be learning how to deploy your app to the App Store. For those of you that are interested in actually, if you're sure that your app is going to go big, go for it. Dream big, go hard. So I will show you how to deploy them into the App Store. And if you have money to purchase a developer account, that's great because you will need it. But I will still show you how to do it because I have an account already. Anyhow, let's get started with today's lecture. So today, we're not only going over Unit 7, we're also going to go through Unit 8. So in other words, we're going to be covering multiple units at once in order to finish on time, which is why we're going to go through 2 units each week. But don't worry, since there's no more code-alongs, you're not going to be doing twice the amount of work. The only difference is that your project, you're going to have to do it quick. But that's why I'm letting you guys form groups of 5, 4, or 3 people. Because typically the semester course goes with teams of 3, no more than 3 people. That's why they have 7 weeks to work on their projects. But you guys only have 3 weeks. So if you guys have 4 people or 5 people, you will be able to finish the app within 2 weeks. And then the last week will be used for sharpening up, polishing your app, making sure it looks good. And you have designs made, animations or colors, adding font to it, all that good stuff. It took me 3 weeks to make my own app, but imagine if you had 3 people on your team. You can make one in 1 week. So hopefully. Anyhow, so today we're not gonna cover just Unit 7, but as well as Unit 8. So we're gonna break down a couple things here. We've already done most of this last week, which is why I've already wanted you to get started on these things. So we've already got our group project set up, right? Everyone has a group now for sure. All right. So course timeline. This is how we're going to split up everything that's going to happen later on. So as you can see, congratulations, you have went to the hardest part of code path, which is the first 6 weeks or the units, which is going through learning Swift, going through tackling all the heavy material, which is learning all about constraints, APIs, and parse your own backend server, which I think is the hardest one to get your head wrapped around. And the last week, it's not that chill. It's not going to be chill because you're going to be implementing everything that you've learned, which you might have forgotten already, and implement that into your own projects. So the only difference is, I will show you. So you already shipped 3 apps. We already know that. This is what's going to be different. We're going to go through these 2 units this week, and next week we're going to go through 3 units, and then the last week we're going to cover the last 3 units as well. So it's going to be pretty rough, but actually this should be fine because we're going to be covering this week. All you have to do essentially is create your GitHub repository for your project and update it with start planning out the requirements, the user stories, as well as a prototype of what your app is going to look like, hopefully. The prototype is a bonus, but the essentials are writing down what your app is going to be made out of. What are you going to use? What APIs? What server? Are you going to use parse, or are you going to try to move on with something more, a different technology like Google Firebase or AWS, which is Amazon's version of server? There's multiple things you can use. It's up to you. So, but I just want you guys to have that documented on your GitHub repository. I'm going to show you guys a quick video of our CEO, or one of the founders, my bad, Tim, and I'm just gonna show you the first minute because we don't have that much time to go through the whole video. And he's gonna talk about what happens after let's say that you did want to commit your project and deploy it to the App Store. He's gonna talk about the experiences that he went through when he deployed it to the App Store. Oh, great.
I'm one of the co-founders of CodePath. I built my first iOS app about 10 years ago. In that year, I built 4 apps, and one of them we grew to about 1 million users before we sold it 4 years later. Since then, we've trained thousands of engineers on how to build mobile apps, and they've built companies. We had a team pitch on Shark Tank. They got funded by Mark Cuban, and many of them have become mobile engineers in companies all across the United States. So I have a challenge for you for the rest of this class, which is to build an app that has 5 regular users. And let me tell you, if you can get 5 regular users, the probability that you'll get 50 regular users is really high. And if you can get 50 regular users, the probability that you can get 1,000 regular users is really high. The reason for that is if you can get 5 people to use your app, you're solving their problem. And if you're solving their problem, I guarantee you that there's 1,000 people out there that have the exact same problem.
All right, the rest he just talks about more about the process of deploying the app and everything, but you don't need to know that right now. All I want you to know is what he went through when he was coding for the first time doing iOS applications. All right. Now, if you guys want to watch this, you can find it on YouTube as well. You can find all the videos of CodePath of them. All right, there we go. The heck. All right, let me make this big. There we go. So group projects. In this phase, I'm going to talk about what you guys are going to be working like. I got lost. Actually, I've already talked to you guys about this last week, which is why I put this slide, because it was from Monday. I forgot about that. You guys know everything about the projects, right? So this week you're going to be getting into your groups. You're going to be going through Unit 7 and Unit 8 homework assignments. For Unit 7, all you had to do was a mid-course survey. Everyone did that, right? Everyone did the mid-course survey? Perfect. And for Unit 8, all you have to complete is your GitHub, which I will show you in a bit, Unit 8, because I think it's still not available. Yesterday, one of the students noticed that they couldn't access Unit 8, or it wasn't even available. Is it available for you guys on the course portal? Can you access Unit 8? No? No? It's not even there? All right, I'll tell them to fix it by tonight, because we need that for you guys so you are able to complete the homework. But I'll show you what it is, what the homework consists essentially, and I'll send an email also explaining what you have to do, just in case they still haven't fixed the Unit 8.
What's Unit 8 of it?
It should be on a course portal, but...
No, but what's like the overall? Is it the portfolio cleanup?
No. I'll show you. I'll show you guys in a bit. So if you guys haven't done this, take the mid-course survey, please, because I want to teach next quarter, and I want to know how am I doing and how the course portal has been working for you. And if you have any issues or if you have any ideas in how to make CodePath better, this is a way to go. Okay? So as always, we're going to be submitting our assignments through the course portal as usual, and I will show you where to find for the one Unit 8 in a bit. Demo day, I know you guys talked about it last week, but I'll just bring it up again to remind you. Demo day, we are not going to take everyone from here to San Francisco or anywhere else. We're going to take the best projects. So first you're gonna demo here at UCI. I will be, I talked to the CEO and my boss about bringing in engineers into a live video so that while you guys present to me, I can also show the engineers what you guys are doing. So that way they can even give you like tips, feedback, and also even interviews for a position for the summer or probably next year, or if you're graduating for a full-time position. So they already liked my idea. They had a meeting yesterday. So today I'm going to talk to my boss about it, see what's going on, how many engineers we're going to get, and from where. And if you guys pass the demo day, the CodePath will select the top projects, and they will invite those students to go to one of the headquarters, which could be Lyft headquarters, Slack, Facebook, or even the CodePath headquarters, and you will present amongst thousands of engineers in that conference that we have. Aside from that, you also, if you do well in the class and if you do your project, then it seems pretty good. You're still going to get benefits of alumni. So as I mentioned back way at the beginning of the course, you will have access to scholarships and also guaranteed interviews for when the VIP online conference begins, which will take place sometime near fall, because that's when all the big companies start applying for sending their recruiters to get people. Cool. Oh, if you want to check your grades, I have your grades for so far, and you can just talk to me after the class so I can show you how you've been doing in the course. And if you don't want to see them, it's okay. You're going to get an email soon, probably during this week, about your grades. But if you want to see them now, you can come to me and I'll be showing you your grades. So, question?
Since this is a non-credit course, do the grades have any impact?
Yeah, it'll impact on whether or not you can go to the headquarters or even be an alumni, receive the benefits that will give you.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the benefits.
Okay.
Does it impact UCI?
Okay.
There's no UCI benefits. I mean, you're already graduating from here, but this is more like for your career, for your own benefit. And I can guarantee you, working with a group project will really benefit you in terms of interviews, and I'll show you why. So, if you guys want to know about the grading of the future assignments that we're going to have, they count basically the same amount percentage-wise. 50% of the assignments that you guys completed are worth 50% of your grade, and the other 50% is taken from the group milestones, which is basically each week you're going to have to update your GitHub and tell us what you've been doing, and if you have a prototype, then show us how it's working right now, and that's what the group milestones consist. Okay? And in order to, if you guys want to graduate or like be considered as an alumni, you will need a final grade of 60% or above. But so far, pretty much all of you are doing really well. But if you want to really know how specifically you're doing, you can come talk to me at the end of this session. So, second half, there is no second half. You can ignore most of this part. This is just saying that basically we're going to start building our apps, and we're going to start polishing everything towards the end of this quarter. And these are the goals that were supposed to be done for today, but I already had you guys go through all this because we have very little time to work on our apps. So, but essentially, you guys should already have ideas and also met your teammates, which I had you do last week, because we're in a quarter system, so we go very fast-paced. But good thing we're pretty much done with this. Don't worry about this. Brainstorming, you already brainstorm ideas. Project mixer. I'm not going to do that because I want to show you guys how to work with MapKit. So you already did the brainstorming form. Don't worry about that. Do you guys have any questions so far about your group projects, about your groups? Question?
What if we have someone? I'm saying we're in the team, but we have a third person.
Oh, so regarding that, if you see someone that's in your team and you don't think he's going to be working with you, make that clear on the GitHub. I want you to put, which I'll show you in a bit, but basically I want you to put who's on your team. So that way we know who exactly is on your team. Because remember, since we're in a quarter system, I'm letting you guys have teams of 5 or even 6 people. But in order to, since the system only allows me to put teams of 3, I'm going to make that exception. And to do that, I'm going to have you guys write on your GitHub repository who your team members are. That way I know specifically who is actually on your team. Cool?
Okay.
Yeah. All right, don't worry about that. I'm not going to see you next session yet. I want to show you what we're going to be going through for this week in Unit 7. So take the mid-course survey if you haven't. And for session 2, you just need to do the group formations, which I had you do last week. So we're pretty much ahead. And Unit 8, which they're still not done working on it. This is what you guys will do. You're essentially going to submit the following on your GitHub. This is what you'll have to do for homework. You're going to create your GitHub. You're going to create your GitHub and have these following things, which I will email it just in case that you guys still don't have access to it. You need your required stories, like what's your main functionality of your app. Optionals, which are nice to have. So for example, if you want to have users, don't focus on users yet. That's going to be like an optional. And then later on, if you want to add something like animations or maybe like the map view, those should be considered on your optional. But make sure to have your required core user stories, okay? And then the third part are app screens. So basically, I want you guys to, you can do whatever you want, but make sure that you have some drawings of what your app should look like. It can be hand-drawn or you can use applications like Sketch or also prototyping.com, I think. They have them all in here if you guys want to know more. For example, where is it? Screen archetypes. We have links here that show you what each ideas, so you guys can have ideas of what your login would look like and the basic user requirements. This will be available on Unit 8, so you can check out the links that we have listed here. And also, but make sure that you have these important things on your GitHub. And then your app navigation flows. So for the navigation flows, I just want to know, so after you draw the screens, I want you to draw like, oh, the user taps this button, draw an arrow to where it takes you to that view controller. Stuff like that. And once you finish updating all those things, I want you guys to add also your team names, okay? And once you finish, just update it, and you can push that to your course portal. And you will submit it on the overview right here. And that's where you will be submitting your GitHub. For session 2, there's really not much. This is just like it's a group activity for you guys to get together, talk about your app, but we don't have time. I want you guys to get started with it. So, but if you do want to know how to do a prototype on a web application, here are some of the ones that you can use. There's Figma. So here it shows you here's where you can create your own prototypes, right? For example, let's say you're making an app. This is where you can create like your prototypes. Like, oh, this is how the login page is going to look like. This is what's going to happen after you log in. This is how it looks like when you tap the corner button right here, the hamburger menu, that's what they call it. This is what happens when you click on the exhibition preview button, etc. You can do all sorts of things with this application, but if you can, just hand draw them. It's faster and it's easier to do than trying to learn how to use this web application. And since we're on a course system, we go way faster. All the semester students have 7 weeks to work on this. So that's why they have they put all these resources. But go ahead, feel free to use any resources that you feel that will be very beneficial in terms of planning and prototyping your project. There's other things you can do here, like where is it? I wanted to show you. I also recommend using HackMD for your, since you guys are working in groups and you want to edit all the GitHub repository, there is a way you can do that. It's like a Google Docs where everybody can collaborate in real time, and it's using HackMD. So if you go to hackmd.io, you can create your first file, and I already created one for myself right here, and it basically shows, it has like my GitHub, but everyone can edit it, right? So for example, let me use this one. You guys can find the template for your So you know how I told you guys to write this stuff down? There's already a template for you guys to use right here on HackMD. It's this link right here on number 2, which you guys still can't see it, but hopefully by tomorrow it'll be available. And here you can, it already has the template set up for you. So all you do is you copy and paste this into your own document, and then you can start editing. For example, right? And if I want to share it with someone else, one of my team members, I'm going to open up an incognito so you can see how it works. This is another person that's going to be working on it. And as you can see, there's 2 people. There's me, and then there's also me, right? And I can start typing the same thing here. Oh, I have to sign in. Yeah, sign in. But anyhow, I can go back here. This is a test. And you can see that it'll update here as well. Yeah. So that's how you can, there's one tool that you can use for updating your GitHub, or even updating your view controllers if you want to know like what the code is looking, and if you want to edit in real time with other people. This is one way to go. So you can question?
Yeah, so you mean like we could do this to update our GitHub file? Do you
So
mean like the GitHub repository would it live on HackMD, or like?
you can do that. They have an extension and tools that allows you to connect it to your GitHub. But what I recommend using is just using this as like the main one for everyone to use, and then you have one person push it to GitHub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that every time you revise this, you're like, hey guys, I made some changes, or I added some stuff to navigation. And then you can say, okay, let me check it out. All right, I'll just copy paste this to my GitHub and push it. And then that's how it would work. But this is just like a placeholder, like a place where your file can live. And then you can have someone in charge of updating the GitHub.
Is this only to collaborate on the README, or collaborate?
Oh, you can collaborate on any files. You can even do Swift files here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does that carry over to like, the storyboard if you add new like view controllers?
No, that's the thing.
Okay, so you have to like format.
Yeah, you have to copy paste it back to your your GitHub, or your on your Xcode project. So you can be like, hey, what do you think of this function? It's like a good way to analyze functions or analyze single text files, single files.
Gotcha.
So for example, hey, I'm working on the class for the user. What do you think of these attributes? And then another person can be like, oh, let's add this one. Oh my gosh. Let's add another class for like a temporary user.
Okay, so how would we share like, the storyboard thing?
Copy paste. Send them the link, and then
Oh, my GitHub, and they just download it from my GitHub, or
yeah, and then just copy paste it to your GitHub.
and then okay.
You have someone that pushes it. Yeah, you assign someone to push it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or if you're working in different sections, like maybe one person is working on login, and another person is working on the main feature, then you guys should create. Yeah, I would recommend downloading GitHub Desktop. It's really useful because doing everything on a terminal is kind of hard. But essentially here you can create what's called branches. So for example, you can see this is my repository for where my course material. I've been creating branches for each unit so that I can keep track of what I've worked on so far. So for example, I'm working on the material for Unit 8, which is next week. So I created a branch. And my main branch, it has the things that are working right now, so that I don't mess up with my master branch. And you can create multiple branches. So this is the purpose of branches. They're like a way of having different people working on different parts of the project. So for example, you can create a branch that says login. That person could be working on the login stuff, and they won't mess with your code, so that they don't see what you're working on. And then you can create another branch that's called image picker. So you're working on getting images from the server. You can create your own branch, and at the end, once everybody finishes their sections, they merge it. And the way you would do that is you just go to the master, and then you start merging each branch into the master. And that's how branches work. There you go. Like they are all tied into the master. So right, imagine it like as a tree. they all come back to the same root.
So would you recommend that we use this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that you guys can create branches. I've been using it for like my search engine project for 121, and it's been working pretty good. Where is it? Search engine. For example, this is my branch, which is M1, and then my other friend is working on his branch, Origin, Ed, which is his name, Eduardo, Ed. So every time that we merge it, there's no conflicts because I work on my own files and he works on his files. Question?
How come yours has a check mark? Like, what is GitHub saying?
Oh, it's saying that right now there's stuff that I need to commit. Like if there's a check mark, it's telling me that, hey, you have a commit like ready to go.
Oh,
yeah.
And then the other thing is
this just represents a branch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and this is like the master. It's also a branch, the default. Yeah, and if you want to check where your teammates are working, you can go on their branch. Nah, I'm just gonna discard this. You can just go to their branch, and then you can see what they've been doing. Like, oh, they added all these files. It's a lot of files. It's because we're working on a search engine, so it's a lot of file thingies. But you can see what they've been working on, right? And if you want to go back to your branch, then just go back to yours, M1. And then all you do to pull your files, you just do the repository pull. So you can get back your files that you were working on. But make sure you push before you go onto any other branch. Because if you don't, and you go to another branch, and then you go back to your branch, it's lost. You're not going to have everything that you worked on. So make sure you push all the time. So what else did I want to show you? Alright, so everyone's clear on what to do for this week, right? Basically a GitHub showing me who you're working on and these stories of these things, which I will send you an email in case this is not up yet. Cool. And I also wanted to show you an app winners of 2016 for iOS. Echo. And this is just to show you what some students did back in the day. They even did
a great dancer.
They even did their own video for it.
It requires hard work, dedication. It's a long road filled with insecurity, doubt. How can I improve? Am I even growing? Becoming a great dancer is a challenge, but now you have Echo.
Oh my god, this is so cool. I wish I had this last month.
I love having this journal feature because as a dancer, I'm constantly taking class trying to improve my own craft. And with the teacher's permission, I'll film myself and see, okay, here's where I was a week ago, here's what I did 3 months ago, and where I am today is really helpful in terms of tracking my progress.
Yes, this is amazing. I think that to see myself recorded previously and compare it, I feel like I'm better already. I think aside from comparing myself to myself, I think I would definitely use it to compare to the instructor, other people in class to see what I can pick up from, see what skills I can add. This is so cool.
I've been wanting an app where it actually truly helps me as a teacher give feedback to my students. This helps me kind of go back and understand what's really going on with their technique.
You're showing really great emotion here. I like the level of your hand here, but maybe you lift up your hand a little bit to match.
My personal connection to dance is to improve as a dancer and as a person, and the only way I can do that is through feedback. I feel like I'm dancing a certain way, but I don't actually know unless I get input from others. I love that I can take this home, I can play the video, I can see the notes and exactly where it applies in the dance. I feel like I could definitely use this.
I definitely never seen something like this before. I feel like it's an app that every dancer could really benefit from. My favorite part about the app is that it builds this bridge between dancers in the community and choreographers by creating a platform for us to communicate with each other outside of the room that we dance in.
This project is really special to me because it combines two of the things that arguably I love the most in life. Dance has impacted my life in such amazing ways and empowered me to be my most authentic self and brings so much joy into my life.
That relationship between a teacher and student, it's paramount.
Oops.
And I think that with our app, we can actually help deepen this relationship and make sure that the communication is a lot better.
Honestly, working on this app the past 5 weeks has been one of the most fun experiences of my life. And just watching it grow and watching other people use the app and grow using our app, I think it's really exciting. And regardless of the end of CodePath, we're definitely going to ship this app.
At the end of the day, we want to create a kick-ass app that allows teachers, mentors, coaches, directors to connect and engage with their students in a way they never have. My hope for the future is that the same platform would help other communities like cheerleading, weightlifting, tennis, golf, and maybe even things like public speaking. So we're really excited to see where this platform takes us.
So this is just one of the projects from 2016. They even went on and made a freaking YouTube ad for their application. And it was just an idea of because a lot of students have been asking me, how do I even think of ideas? Or some groups have been telling me we don't have ideas yet. Just think about the things that you like to do. What are some of your hobbies that you enjoy doing? That's one of the best starting points for coming up with ideas. For example, I have an idea for making an app for musicians because I'm a musician. I play the guitar and jazz. And I was thinking of, how bands travel around and they go to places and perform at other places within the nation. You can't carry all your stuff, right? You can't carry all the drum sets and your guitar in the plane. Oftentimes, musicians have to rent gear from stores like Guitar Center or Musician's Friend. However, sometimes they don't have all the gear that you want, or maybe they don't have a specific guitar that you like. So when I was thinking of an app, I was thinking of creating I haven't created yet, but there's just an idea that I have. I was thinking of creating an app that allows people to rent music gear from local people around the area, so that you can, because there's nothing like that. I mean, there's Craigslist, but you can rent. They have everything. I want something focused just for musicians, right? That could be a good idea, a place where you can rent or even just utilize equipment for a couple days, weeks, from people that have guitars laying there because they're working, they're busy, they have other things to do, but they're willing to rent it for $200 since a really Les Paul, a really nice guitar, then yeah, I'll be down. But yeah, simple things like that. Start off with your with the things that you do, okay? In case you're lost in terms of ideas. All right, so we covered 2 units and we're good to go. Let's start learning MapKit. I did forget one thing. You guys can take attendance. bit.ly.com/codepath unit 7. The code for today is maps. Alright, while everyone does that, I'm going to be launching up Xcode. Alright, everybody got the attendance down? Alright. Cool. So today we're going to be working on a simple maps application where I can take a picture by clicking on the button right here. Let's say that I took a picture of Pier 39. Obviously this is not how it looks like, but assuming that I took a picture there, I'm going to go ahead and tag it. So I'm going to search up Pier 39. And then you can see that it created a pin for me showing where I took that picture based on where I searched. And when you tap on it, it should show me the picture of what I took and a title, which in this case, it just contains the coordinates of that location. So we're going to build something simple like this today, where the user can take a picture and tag it on the map so that the user can remember where they took that picture. So it's like a little, the creator of it, Tim, was named it Photo Map. So the idea is that it's an app that allows you to remember where you took pictures, where you were. All right. So this is what we're going to be building today. Let's go ahead and get started. So if you open up your, everybody got the project starter? All right. So as we saw earlier, we noticed on the storyboard that we have a couple of things going on here. So we have a navigation controller, and then we have our photo map view controller. This one is what's going to show us the map. So let's go ahead and add a map view from the object library. So go ahead and search up map view, MapKit view. Drag and drop that into the photo map view controller. And just as a table views, let's add some constraints to it so that it fits the whole screen for us. I'm going to put 0 for all the constraints. Perfect. Now we got it filling up the whole screen for us. And now let's add a button so that when the user taps the camera button, it should display us the pictures of what they took. Go ahead and search up a button. Drag and drop that at the bottom of the bottom center. And open up the attributes inspector right here. And if you want to know how to change this and turn a button into an image, all you have to do is go here on the text field called image, and this is where you type in the name of the file of the picture. In this case, it's going to be a camera icon, and there you go. It added a camera icon to the button that we have, and now we can just get rid of the text for button. There we go. So now we have our little camera button. Now all we have to do is add some constraints to it so that it's always at the bottom center. In order to do that, make sure let's add some 32 to the bottom. That way it's always going to be 32 spaces above from the bottom. And to make it in the middle, you can go many ways about it. You can add constraints to the left and the right side, or you can drag and drop to the main view and click on center vertically. Oops, what the heck? What the freak? Let me see why it popped up. Oh, new constraint. I thought it did give constraints. Okay. If that's the case, then go ahead and add constraints to the left and right. I'll just add 32 to the left and right. What? No, it has to be. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, my bad. It has to be centered horizontally. Thank you. Center horizontally. There we go. Yeah. Now it knows where it has to be.
So not to that view, but to the view itself.
Yeah, the view itself.
Why so?
Oh, you could go both. But let's say that you made let's say that you made the map view, you only want it, like you're making an app that shows you the map half the screen, and at the bottom some options like Google Maps, right? If you wanted it at the center, then it's fine. But what if you made this like a 1/4 of the screen, and you have options here, like you made an app that has some buttons here that say, show me where I'm located, or take me to like a common place. Obviously, if you put it centered to the map view, then this button is going to be over here because you made it 1/4. So you want to. It all depends where you want to center it from. What happened?
We want at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, if you always want at the bottom of the screen, you add constraints to the view.
No, that's why we centered it on the view.
Yeah, we center it on the view because I always wanted at the center of the view. But if I wanted this map view, like let's say that right here, and I wanted this button right here at the center of map view, then you would center it based on the map view. There you go. It all depends where you want to position it, all your layout. Oh, let me center it again. Horizontal. Cool. So now that we have our map view and our button, let's connect these into our view controller. Open up your photo map view controller. And here I've already have some comments set up for you. And let's go ahead and add the outlet for the map view into this comment right here, below the create map view outlet. I'm gonna go ahead and control, drag and drop that map view. So this function's sort of similar in the way as we do with table views. We just drag and drop the view for it. In this case, instead of being a table view, it's a map view. But they all follow under the subclass as a view. So now that we added our outlet, now let's add the outlet for our button. Go ahead and click on your button. And we have a comment right here that instantiates the UI image picker after camera button tapped. Perfect. Let's do that on that to do. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop it below the button tapped comment. And I'm going to call it camera tapped. There you go. It created our function so that every time that the camera button is tapped, it'll do something. All right. Now that we have our connections, now we have to know some other things. Every time that we take a picture, we want it to present the pictures, right? And then pick the picture that we want, and then search up the places using the locations view controller. We want to search up the place so that we can tell our application where we took that picture. So in order to do that, what do we need to create between this view controller and this view controller? Let's go ahead and create a manual segue. Drag and drop from the map view controller and drag it to the add locations. And put a push segue. There we go. We're going to go ahead and give it the identifier tag segue. There we go. All right, we have finished with the storyboard. There should be nothing that we need to work on it later on. Now let's go and work with coding. Go back to your photo map view controller. And let's go through each to-do. So we completed setting up an outlet. Now we have our map view, but if we run it as how it is right now, let's see what it will show us. Cool, so it does work, but the map is centered on the United States. But I want it to show me San Francisco, because that's where I'm located, or assuming that's where I'm located. Well, let's configure the map view so that it shows us San Francisco every time that we launch the application. So let's create a function right here under set initial. We're going to create a function called set initial location. And first, the way that map view works is that you need to give it some coordinates and also the span. Okay? The span refers to how much space, how much zoomed in you want it to be. But first, let's give it the coordinates. So the coordinates of the map center is going to be a CL location coordinate 2D object, and it takes in the latitude. And for the latitude, we're going to give it 37.783333. And for the longitude, it's going to be -122.0 0.416667. Alright, now that we have the map center, the coordinates, now we want to know how much span or how much zoomed in we want to be in the map. Now let's call it map span. This is going to be an MK coordinate span. And it's going to take me latitude as well. Latitude delta 0.1 and longitude delta 0.1 as well. So what do these numbers mean? So if you go in the maps, if you go search up on Google Maps, you'll notice that 1 latitude or 1 degree is equal to about 69 miles in the map. So what we're doing here is 0.1. We're shortening it, instead of 69 miles, we're doing it to 6.9 miles. So our map is going to be 6.9 miles span.
In the center?
Yeah, it's going to be centered on this coordinate, and how much space, how far apart we want it from the center. We want it 6.9 miles apart from the map.
Does it create like a radius? Like, because I know like we have phones and most phones are rectangle.
Yeah.
They're not. So would it?
Well, that's the beauty of the maps. It's kind of weird how it works, because our world is like circular, right? It's a globe. So if you imagine bending the phone into like a globe, it'll technically still fit the 6.9 miles. You kind of get it? So imagine that this is like the Earth, right?
Yeah.
If we were to bend our phone, it won't be a rectangle anymore. It will still be able to cover the 6.9 miles in a way. So it still works, because these are rectangles, but if you were to convert this and like flip it around, it'll actually give you the 6.9 miles that you want it. So the makers of this are pretty crazy. But if you can learn more about how the map works, it's pretty interesting. So now that we have the span, now let's create a region for our map view. Because map view takes a region as the variable to create the map. So in order to do that, we're going to create a map MK coordinate region. And this takes a center and a span. Luckily, we already have those. We're just going to pass in the map center and the map span that we created. So now that we have our basic setup for the map, now we need to tell map view, hey, create me this map. Alright, so now we just need to call map view dot set region, and the region is going to be the region that we created right here, and animated, you just make that equal to false. Animated is like when you know how when you go back from one screen to another, we don't want to animate it because it's the first time we're launching the app.
Would it like show like the United States and then it will like animate?
Yeah, we don't want that. It'll look kind of weird. We want it to just go straight to San Francisco as soon as we launch the app. And now that we have our function created, we need to call it. So make sure you call this on your view did load. Set initial location. Perfect. Let's run this and see how our map looks. There we go. Now it took us straight to San Francisco, which is where we want it. So that's how you set up your initial location. Now you can read more about the map view. I sent you guys the readings through the email, where on the readings it shows you how to center, instead of setting the initial location at a specific place, you can center it where the user is located. And you can find that in the readings, but it's the same concept. You just need to access the user permission, and then you get their coordinates, and that's it. I already gave you the basis of how to set the region.
Is there something else that you call besides? So you gotta do it in the view did load, right? You wrote the function, but we haven't, I haven't called it.
Oh, yeah. You have to call it on your view did load. So that way, as soon as your app launches, it'll set the map centered on the San Francisco region. Alright, now that we have that set up, now let's go ahead and get the picture from the user when they take it. So we created our button function, and here, hey Chase, come on in. Now we're gonna create our function that when the user taps it, it'll display the camera or the library and help the user pick the picture. I've already created the functionality for the pictures, and because of that, I did it because you guys already worked on it through your parsergram, so I don't want you guys to do the whole thing again. So all we have to do is just call this function select photo. So on your camera tapped function, just call select photo. So all it does, same thing as we did with parsergram, it opens up the camera library, and you pick an image, and then we save that image as a variable, as picked image variable. And we're going to do something with it later on. But right now, after you pick an image, it takes you to the tag segue. It calls the segue that we created to show you the list of all the places in San Francisco. Cool. But in order to call that segue, we need to override it. So go ahead and underneath the override prepare to do, start writing the functionality for the segue. So you're going to call override func prepare for segue. It's the very first option as you type prepare. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create our location view controller. So create a variable called location view controller equal to segue destination as locations view controller. Cool. So now we created where it's going to take us. Now we need to tell it to actually take us there. Locations view controller dot delegate equals self. So now we know where to go and also who's in charge of that view controller. And in this case, it's going to be this view controller, the photo map view controller. Oh yeah. So in order to let us work with the delegate, now we just need to create it over here. Locations view controller delegate. What happened? Yep. So what's going on here? So I'm going to explain to you a little bit about protocols. What we're doing here is, remember how when we selected a place from the list over here in the add location, remember how we searched up the place like Pier 39 and we clicked on it and then it returned us back to our other storyboard and then it dropped a pin right there? How do we do that? How do we communicate the coordinates selected from here, and how do we communicate those coordinates back to our map view? That's where protocols come in. Protocols are essentially rules that everybody follows. What's one protocol example that I can give you in real life? For example, the protocol that you guys have to follow is you guys do the assignments by Sunday midnight, and my protocol is by Monday I should see some assignments and I'm going to have to grade them. And there was no communication between you and me, right? I just assumed because it's a protocol that I have to follow and you have to follow the other protocol. Same with iOS. We create protocols between these two view controllers. And the protocol that we're going to create is a function that says, hey, I'm going to send you coordinates, and the protocol for this guy is I'm going to take coordinates whenever this guy sends me coordinates, and I'm going to drop a pin on that coordinate that this guy gave me. You kind of get it now, the protocols? Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and it's going to, same as what we did here, it's going to add us to add the function, or in other words, we need to give it the protocol that it needs to follow. In this case, you remember how when we click on a table view controller delegate, it added two functions? Same with here. We need to add the function that adds the functionality of that protocol. So let's go ahead and add this function over here. Now go to your locations view controller, and you can see here that it added the protocol for the locations picked. I've already created the protocol here, and I've already sort of explained it to you. So this guy, the locations view controller, which is this guy. This guy's the locations view controller. So this guy's in charge of creating the protocol. He's the one that says, hey, I'm going to create a way in which you and I can communicate, the photo map view and the locations view controller. So how do we communicate through each other? We're going to create a protocol that we have to follow. So I'll give you the stuff, and the map view says, I'll take that stuff and put it on the map. And that's the protocol that they have to follow. So this guy creates it for both of them. And now, all we have to do is, in order to have them communicate, they communicate through functions. And in here, we created a function called locations picked location. So all it does is we give it the view controller, so which controller is going to be communicating with, and then we're going to pass in the latitude and longitude of the venue or the place that was picked. So here, all we're doing here in this storyboard right here, it searches up through the API of San Francisco, and it retrieves all the places nearby that you search. So it's pretty simple stuff. You can read and see what they use, but essentially it's the same thing as with the movies API. Nothing too complicated, and they just display it on a table view. And then all we have to do now is retrieve the coordinates. So there's already a function for us created called didSelectRow@. So this is the function that handles what happens after a user taps on a cell. So we get the venue after the user taps on that cell, and then after clicking on it, we get the location, the coordinates of that place that was selected. Now all we have to do is use the protocol to pass in the latitude and the longitude that we want. Let's go ahead and add that. Now all we have to do is, let me go back to here. We set our delegate dot locations pick location. So here we're using this function is from our protocol. So now we're just saying, hey, I'm going to give you the information for whoever is following our protocol, and the controller is going to be self. And then we pass in the latitude and the longitude. Perfect. And then we return back to the person that wants those coordinates, which in this case, it's going to be the photo map view controller. So now we just do the navigation controller dot pop view controller. And animated true. This time you do true, because you wanted to do a little animation when you click. You know how you click back, and it animates like a little window that slides back. That's what the animated does. Question?
What is the difference between NS index path and index path in line 16?
Oh, right here?
Yeah, is there
Oh no, it's because this was made like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So this is Swift 3. Yeah, welcome to Swift 3. This is Swift 3 right here. But it still works with Swift 4. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this is how you would do it. You wouldn't use as dictionary or as index path. This is how you would do it back then. How to access a table view item that was selected. You call the index path as NS index path. But now you just do index path.row. Yeah. This is how they used to work on it. But everything else is pretty much the same. You have the table view self or row at, the number of sections, pretty simple stuff that you guys have been working on. Okay, perfect. So we tell our protocol, hey, here's the latitude and longitude, whoever's asking for it. And then we just pop the view controller so we can go back to the photo map view controller. So let's go back to our photo map view controller. And here is the same function from the protocol that was created on the other view controller. So using the latitude and longitude, what do we want to do with those two things, those coordinates? Drop a pin, exactly. So let's create a function that does that for us. Func add pin. And that pin our function should take in the coordinates, right, of where that pin is going to be dropped. So it's going to take in the latitude, lat, which is going to be a CL location degrees, and longitude, which is also going to be a CL location degrees coordinate. Cool. Question? Oh.
What did you add to the class as like a super class for photo view control? Was it location?
Location view control delegate. This is basically the protocol. So you know how when we add a table view, we need the table view delegate?
We did protocol and it was a delegate?
Yeah. So the protocol is basically the rule that they follow, and the delegate is the authorization to work with that protocol. Same with table views. If we want to work with table views, they're essentially protocols. Let me show you how it works. So if you were to look up on the table view functionality, if you were to hold command and tapped on table view, it'll show you this, jump to definition. Oh shoot, this is the old way. But essentially, you can see here, table view delegate is a protocol as well. And this is how they did it back then. Holy crap, this looks ugly. The new version looks very nice, neatly. But essentially, table views are protocols as well that you have to follow, which is why we add them at the top. Perfect. Let's go back to our photo map. And what we're doing is we created our own protocol. Yeah. Now from the add pin, so Apple has the pins. They're not really called pin. They call them annotation. So let's create an annotation object. And it's going to be an MK point annotation object. There you go. So we create our object, and it's going to take a couple things for its attributes. So we need to modify those. So first, make sure it's a variable, because each annotation is different. So it needs to have different attributes, or else it won't let you change them. And we're going to use, same with the cells, table view cells, they need a reuse identifier. So we're going to create oh wait, no, not yet. My bad. Wait a minute. Oh, I was reading the wrong one. The wrong function. It needs to be a let. My bad. And then we need to get the location coordinate, which in this case is going to be the latitude and longitude. And here we're going to pass in the latitude, lat, and the longitude, long, which are passed from the function, from our parameters here. Now that we have the coordinate, now we need to tell the pin where to drop itself. To do that, you call the annotation.coordinate is equal to location coordinate. And then we give it a title, so that every time you tap on it, it will have something written over it, so you know where it is. And for the title, we're just going to give it the coordinate. There we go. So in the title, you can do whatever you want, right? You can modify the API to give you the title of the place that you selected. For example, Pier 39, you can get that. All you would have to do is add the parameter like title of venue, and you would change the title to the title that from the venue selected.
What is this?
This?
Yeah.
The annotation coordinate is where it's going to be dropped on the map.
But the title?
The title is what's going to be shown when you tap on it. I'll show you right now. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I think it's still going to fail. So now that we have these things, let's go ahead and call our add pin function from the protocol function that we created. Here all we do is we do the add pin. For the lat, it's going to take in the CL location degrees, and you're going to pass in the latitude, and same with the longitude. You're going to give it the CL location degrees, longitude. So what do we have so far? So the protocol function, basically all it's doing is that, alright, after the other view controller has sent us coordinates, If they send us coordinates, then add a pin. And then the add pin function takes care of the actual putting it on the map and everything. Let's try running this and see what happens. Cool, so nothing crashed yet. Let's try to add a pin. I'm gonna select my photo. And this time, I'm gonna put it at, I don't know, give me a place, guys. Alcatraz? Oh, Apple, the Apple Store. Let's give it the Apple Store. There we go. Oh, wait, I created a breakpoint. Delete it. Let me try it again. There you go. I'm going to select the Apple Store. So we segue into our add locations. And here it is, Apple Union Square. So it communicated back using the protocol, and it should have dropped a pin, which it didn't. I'm assuming it's not working right now. The annotation? Yeah. Oh. No, I remember now. We need to give permission to our, what do you call it? We need to give permission to our view controller to modify the map view. Remember? So same with table views. You know how you set the delegate equal to the self? Same with here. Let's set the map view dot delegate equal to self. There we go. And it's going to give you an error saying that you need to add permission. So go ahead and add that on your class and make that a subclass of map view. It's going to be MK map view delegate. There you go. And then the error should go away. So I added this on the view did load, the map view.delegate equals self, and I added the MK map view delegate. Now if I run it, it should allow me to drop a pin. Oh, no, you know what? It's because we create the pin, but we never tell MapView to do anything. My bad. Call MapView on your add pin function, dot add annotation. And then it's just going to take in the annotation. There we go. Yup, now it did. So make sure you have this, you tell MapView to drop that pin for you.
Will we delete the self? Or like, how do we delete the self?
Over here on the delegate.
Yeah, like, how do we do it?
Oh, by adding it here on the view did load?
We have to add MK map.
Yeah, and then you add MK map view delegate. Let's run it now this time. Perfect. Alright, who here is from the Bay Area? No one? All SoCal? Only one person? Dang. And me? Alright. Y'all need to go visit. Let's go with the Golden Gate Bridge. Or the Golden Gate Bridge. There we go. I dropped us a little pin right here on the Golden Gate Bridge. And the title is the coordinates that we gave it. Perfect. But it's pretty lame because it's just numbers and there's no I don't see the picture that I took. So this is where we're going to know how to customize the pins. So this is the last function that we'll be working on, which is how to customize the pins. Cool. So in order to do this, you need to access a function from MapView called funcMapView, and it's going to be the view for annotation. Now for that, you're just gonna have to find it. It's gotta be somewhere around here. The heck? What happened? View for annotation. Oh, I just start putting map view and then annotation afterwards. And it should be this one. View for annotation. There we go. Now that we have this function, this is the function from map view that allows us to modify the actual pin that we drop. So let's create a reusable ID. I'm going to call it reuse ID, and it's going to have the name of annotation. This is basically the same as what we do with cells. We give it a cell identifier. Here we're using the annotation for the identifier of the annotation. And then we're going to create a variable called annotation view, which is equal to a map view dot dequeue reusable annotation view. And the identifier, you're going to give the identifier that we created, the reuse identifier, the reuse ID. Perfect. Now we need to add some views to it, like content to our view. So we're going to, in order to do that, first you got to call an if statement saying if annotation view is nil. So in other words, if the view has nothing, if the pin doesn't have any view, then we're going to create one for it. Now we're just going to call annotation view dot mk pin mk pin the heck equals mk pin annotation view. So essentially what we're doing, I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. If there's nothing on the view, then create a view using the mk pin annotation view. And we need to give it the annotation that we're modifying, which is the annotation, and the identifier. Reuse identifier. Where the heck is it? Yeah, but it's gonna should give me the options. Yeah, here it is. And it's gonna be the annotation. Dang it, dude, my typing is off. And then the reuse ID. There we go. And now we need to give it some content to it. We need to specify what kind of content we're going to add. So call the annotation view dot can show callout. This is basically what this method does, is that when you tap on it, it tells you what it should do. Should it show you something or should it not show you anything? The default is false, so we're setting it to true so that when we tap on it, the pin will like pop up a little window on it. That's what this method is doing, can show callout. And then we need to give it the items that it's going to have on it. So we're going to call the left annotation view dot left callout accessory view equals to an image view, UI image view with the frame of a CG rect. I'll explain in a moment what this does. X is 0, Y is 0, and then width, we're just going to make it 50, and height 50. Alright, so what is this doing? So this part right here, oops. This is going to create the actual, you know how I showed you back then on when I ran it? it showed you a picture on the left side, and on the right side, the title of the coordinate. Essentially, ignore everything up to here, view. So what we're doing is we're creating a view on the left side, basically. On this left callout accessory, it's basically creating a view on the left side of the pin when you tap on it. And what type of view? We're gonna give it a UI image view. So that's where we want the image to be placed on, right? And here we're just giving it how big the image we want it to be. So we want it to be x is 0. That's basically, if this was a screen right here, it's gonna be it's gonna be touching it. And y, it's gonna be 0, so it's gonna be touching the border of the bottom as well. And then that box, we can tell it how big we want it. We wanted a width of 50 and a height of 50. So that's all we're doing right here. We're creating a photo frame for the image to be placed. But now we need to give it the image and the title of our annotation view. Well, the title, we already gave it to it. But now we need to pass on the image. So let image view equal annotation view dot left callout, left call accessory view as UI image. So now we're creating a variable where we're going to store the annotation view, the image, so that we can pass on the image that we want, so that it's easier for us to manipulate it. And now we just set the image view dot image. And remember how we had a variable that stored our picture called picked image? This is where it comes in. We're going to set that the image view dot image equal to the picked image that we had earlier. And we're done. Now we just need to return our annotation. Perfect. So this is how you customize the map view to add a custom map annotation. Yeah.
So we return annotate?
No, the view for the annotation. So here, remember what the function is doing. We're modifying the view for annotation.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we create the view for it. Because remember, originally we just had a red pin with the title at the bottom. That's your normal default pin. But here, we're customizing how it's going to look. So we're going to add a view to it, which we call it annotation view. And here we're creating it just as we do with cells, right? We call the table view dot dequeuable cell with identifier. And then using that annotation view, now we add some stuff to it. In this case, we're going to add the functionality to be tapped on, so that whenever you tap on it, it'll pop up a view. And the left callout accessory is basically what's going to be shown on the right side, on the left side, which in this case is going to be a UI image view. Question? We're forcing it to become a UI image view. Yeah. So and the callout as well, we want to force it to pop up the pin every time that you tap on it. If you just had it like this, it might not work because it has to be unwrapped. So if you recall from your readings and also from some of the past lectures, whenever you have something that can be nil, optional, in this case, the can show callout, that's optional. So if it's nil, if you don't tell it what to do, then it's just going to be nil. So we have to force it to actually be popping up a view. Same with the annotation view. We have to, since it can be nil, it's an optional, we have to force it to be a UI image. So that's why we use the force unwrapping, or in other words, the exclamation mark, so that it can show us the actual image view. So if we run this, and all we're doing here is we're accessing this image annotation view to be an image view, right? And then we modify the image that's contained in there to whatever we picked in the image. Let's try it this time. I'm going to go ahead and pick this beautiful waterfall right here. And if you guys ever go to SF, make sure you go to La Taqueria, the best spot for getting tacos. Here it is. Here's the address if you need to go. And let's go. You see? And if we zoom in, create our little pin. And you can notice that it's different than the other one. The other one had the actual coordinates at the bottom. But now if we tap on it, boom, look at that. It can show us the image now, the one that we just picked, right? So this is what we just added. This code right here created this view. This is what I was referring to, this view. And you can see we're modifying the left side view. We can put it on the right side if you want, and put it over here. It's all up to you, but I'm just showing you how to, I'm give you an example of how to like customize it. And you can do a lot more things. You can make the image bigger. You can modify the title. You can modify like add like maybe if you're doing an app that deals with food, you can add like the prices right here, like if you're looking at a restaurant, all that kind of cool stuff. But this is how you customize it using this function right here. There's a lot of bonuses you can do. So this is it for the MapKit. I just showed you how to customize it, drop pins, and how to set the initial viewpoint whenever you launch an app. If you want to learn more about the MapKit view, you can go ahead and, from the readings that I sent you, you can find more about how to customize it even more. So here it will show you everything step by step, all the stuff that we did, but it'll also show us how to detect if there's already some annotations, how to do custom images. Maybe you want to put icons or logos on them. It'll show you everything right here. How to get the user's location, you can do it right here. It'll show you everything. And how to show the user's location on the map. You know that little blue dot? You can have that shown on your map as well. How to show it, how to center it, all that good stuff. There's more stuff you can do here. And you can also find more bonus challenges on Unit 6. What the heck? It's on the lab right here. So what I took you guys was I did everything up until bless you, up until here. So add photo. So if you guys want to do more, like adding the full screen, so that when you tap on the info, if you guys want to learn how to do that, it's pretty straightforward. You've already worked with passing data. You guys can do that too. If you guys want to know how to replace the pin, like instead of a pin, replace it with an actual image, you guys can learn that too on the bonus challenges. It'll show you step by step how to do all that. Like for example, if you guys want to do a, did I tell you about the hackathon about how someone did the crap maps? So yeah, it's an app where it shows you all the bathrooms on the map and the ratings of each bathroom. You can do something similar with this. You can replace the pins and put bathrooms in it instead, like the bathroom icon. And then when you tap on it, it'll show you like the ratings, like all the stars. And you can read more by tapping on the read more. You can do something funny like that for your project too if you want. I don't mind, as long as you make something cool. So that's it for today, guys. If you guys want to stay longer or see your grades, I can show you. I'm going to have a meeting for those who are interested in teaching next quarter with me. So, but everyone else is free to go. All right. And next week we're going to be learning animations. So make sure you still keep coming so we can keep in touch and see where you guys are at. All right. Thank you, guys. Let me stop the recording.